Yep, that's me, trying to skateboard. And the only reason I even tried it is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. A game that set a new standard for all upcoming transport video games. A game that is the best rated PS1 game of all time with a score of 98. A game out of a franchise that literally changed the world. And a game that is mostly one thing: fun. But what makes the game so good? Why is it that legendary? And why is it still the GOAT of skateboarding games? Let's find out. After the huge success of the first installment in the series, the developers of Neversoft could have just played it safe. No new additions to the gameplay, some new maps, maybe just a couple new skaters, and the game would have worked out perfectly. The sales would have been fine, nobody would have been mad at them, and it would have been easy work. But no, they did it differently. But let's start with some more basic things. After booting up the game, we get a nice welcome by one of these absolutely epic skate videos where we get introduced to all the playable skateboarders in the game. Anyone who ever only even touched a skateboard has probably heard of all the playable athletes. Skaters like Rodney Mullen, Eric Costin, Tony Hawk himself, and also there's some unlockable characters later in the game that we don't get to see in the intro video. Skateboarding legends like Spider-Man, Lee Hiroi, Ok Hyun. I mean, who hasn't heard about the 25 times X Games gold medalist Ok Hyun? After the amazing intro, we find ourselves in the menu of the game. And oh, this game has a level editor? Yes. But let's talk about that a bit later. Before starting the game, you can decide if you want to create a skater or use one of the other legends of the golden era of skateboarding. The creator skater is alright and a cool addition, but definitely limited, because you can only create male skaters. I mean, come on Tony, is it 1650 or the early 2000s? Jumping into the game, you can immediately tell that the graphics look very similar as they did in the first game, but not entirely identical. But I think that this is the smartest thing they could have done for this game. Use an almost perfect looking game for PS1 standards and tweak it to absolute perfection for the sequel. Cause that's what happened here. Graphic wise, they made everything look even a bit smoother, refined the ladder font, and the game looks pretty great already. As I said, they could have kept it the way it was in the first game, and I think nobody would have complained. But now that we are in the game, let's talk about the biggest and best change of the game compared to its predecessor. They added manuals.
No, not that kind of manual.
If you're not into skateboarding too much, a manual is basically what you would call a wheelie on a bike. You only use the tail or the nose of the board and cruise only on two wheels. And because of the addition of this tiny little trick, you can now combine flips, grabs, grinds and lip tricks. In the first game, the player was limited to rails to combine huge combos with each other. But here you can just use the floor in every stage to add points to your combo. We are not limited to the obstacles and objects in the course anymore. We can use the flat ground to get high scores we've never seen before. Also, the new maps of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 have to be some of my personal favorites in the entire franchise. While in the first installment all of the maps seemed a little more lifeless and liminal, this game right here does a way better job at this. Almost every stage has something or someone moving around, and I know it doesn't sound like a huge step, but it's still enough to make the game feel a little more real. At the hangar, for example, we can make the helicopter fly away. At the School 2 map, there is this fella right here cruising around trying to ruin our day. In Philadelphia and in New York we have vehicles like trains, buses and cars. And in Venice there's these bums sleeping and we have to ruin their day.
Why would we even want to do that to them? I mean, they have it hard enough already, probably.
Yes, I know Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 also had cars and cable cars in some stages, but you never could see another human being than the skaters himself. At least not that I can remember. The missions for each of the maps are quite similar to the first game again. And we don't have to talk about them too much in this video, I guess. But I still wanted to mention them real quick, because they are doing a great job as well. Stuff like Collect Skate, Ring 5 Belts, Collect the Secret Tapes are still classics and work out perfectly with the layout of the new maps. The exploration on them is super fun, and especially maps like Venice and New York have so much stuff to explore that I probably spent more time just cruising around these maps than actually doing tricks. But you know what you could spend even more time in this game? the level editor. This mode is that complex that it could have been a spin-off release and people would have loved it. You get to choose the size your park should be, pick between 4 different themes: power plant, outdoor, school and industrial, and just be as creative as you want. And even if you're not a fan of creating your own levels, you should still maybe choose the option in the menu. Cause the level editor includes 50, I repeat, 50 pre-made parks. So if you never chose level editor, you missed hours and hours of additional gameplay. This entire game has a lot to offer, a ton. Is there even anything that anyone could criticize? Well, that's actually the last thing I want to talk about in today's video. Cause yes, there's some people actually that criticize this game.
And, at least I think they wanted to believe that there is something to criticize about this game.
Cause what they came up with is ridiculous. The main point of criticism for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is the lack of a first-person camera in a skateboarding game. What? Okay, maybe they are right. Let's put that to the test. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 actually can be played with a first-person mode, and let's compare the gameplay. Yes, this was definitely missing. So to all the people who criticized that, you can always get what you want. But if you still want it after you get it though, that's the question.